I need to start out today with a quick apology. 2 weeks ago, on the second Sunday of Ordinary Time, I was talking about the birth of Samuel, and I confused him with Samson. Samson is the one who had the great strength, and Samuel was a prophet. So I do apologize for that, because I try to be very careful about what I say. So then, moving on, in today's first reading from Deuteronomy, Moses reminds the people what it was like when they experienced God descending upon Mount Horeb, which is also called Mount Sinai, just before God gave Moses the Ten Commandments. He appeared in great power over that mountain. And it says, this is recorded in Exodus 19. Now Mount Sinai was completely enveloped in smoke, because the Lord had come down upon it in fire. The smoke rose from it as though from a kiln, and the whole mountain trembled violently. The blast of the shofar, which was their ram's horn instrument, grew louder and louder while Moses was speaking, and God was answering him with thunder. So today, in the reading from Deuteronomy, which is a scene that takes place much later, Moses reminds the Israelites that they did not want to experience that again. The people said, "Let us not again hear the voice of the Lord our God, nor see this great fire anymore, lest we die." And the Lord said to Moses, "This was well said." The Lord agrees with the people that they should not experience it. And it's worth a minute to ponder and wonder at the mighty power of God, what it must have been like for those people there when they were near his presence, and it was overwhelming for them. So, what does God do? And again, today in Deuteronomy, he says, "I will raise up for them a prophet like you, like Moses, from among their kin." To allow the Israelites to hear the voice of God, he'll raise up a prophet who we know is Jesus from among their kin, so that he can speak to them face to face on their own level. So God, in his mercy, knowing how weak and frail we are, comes to us like one of us. And he comes not only to teach us, but to show us the way to live, and probably most importantly, the way to die in complete obedience to God, so that after the most spectacular event in human history, the resurrection, Jesus can lead us into heaven, so that we can then receive glorified bodies and allow us to see God, the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, face to face as he is. If the scene on Mount Sinai was awe-inspiring, we can't even begin to imagine what it would be like to actually see God face to face. Now, in the Gospel of Mark today, it describes a scene from the beginning of Jesus' ministry. Last week he called the first apostles to himself. Now he enters a synagogue, a synagogue to begin the prophetic ministry that was revealed to Moses in the first reading, "A prophet like you." Now, keeping in mind the glory and the power of God that was displayed on Mount Sinai, we can better appreciate how Jesus casts out the unclean spirit from the man at the synagogue. Jesus only has to say the word, and immediately the spirit comes out of him. He doesn't have a chance. And not only that, when the spirit recognizes him, Jesus also silences him with his power. And I imagine Jesus does not want to be proclaimed by evil. He wants to be proclaimed by people with the Holy Spirit dwelling within them. Now, a quick comment on the second reading. It's from 1 Corinthians chapter 7, And most of that chapter is taken up with Paul giving advice to the Corinthians on the state of marriage or not being married. And this was in response to questions that they had written him about. And here today, he's extolling the spiritual benefits of being unmarried. And he says that, well, when you're not married, then you can fully concentrate on the things of God instead of trying to please your husband or wife. Now, all this is true, but he's not commanding the people to remain unmarried. He says he doesn't want to impose a restraint on you. And as a matter of fact, we need more people to be married. There was a Pew Research study from 2021, and it said that for the population aged 25 to 54, the percent of married people decreased from 67% in 1990 to 53% 2 years ago. You know, that's, in other words, 2/3 of adults were married in 1990, and now it's just over half. You know, traditionally, we're asked to pray for vocations to the priesthood and religious life, the kind of life that Paul is talking about in the second reading. Well, and you've probably done those kinds of prayers. Well, you know, we may want to call it a problem of vocation to marriage, and it really hit home to me because the parish where I attend daily Mass when I can during the week not only prays for vocations to the priesthood and religious life, it started to pray for vocations to the married life because we need it. We need more people to be married. We need more babies. We need more people to throng around the throne of God in heaven and behold that glorious vision of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.